All right, welcome back to the Real Estate Huddle. We have to excuse Landon. He's on vacation with his family in Disneyland. So we are going to be without him. We're also missing Jackson. But I guess he's doing real estate stuff, right? Yeah. I hope so.
He's also in Disneyland.
He probably wishes
real estate stuff.
Yeah. I'd love to be in California right now. It's super cold. Uh-huh. This is one of those days where it's like, oh, it's 32 degrees outside. This is pretty warm relative to this week. So that's not a good thing.
I actually just got my car back from the shop to get my butt heater fixed. So it's 35 degrees out.
Priorities.
I don't even have a butt heater, so you guys are really lucky. Mm-hmm. But this is episode 7, right? Episode 7.
Episode 7.
And we have to introduce our team member who hasn't been here yet. So Kim, this is her first time here. She's been either out of town or busy closing deals when we're doing podcasts.
So busy, so many deals.
So we're glad to finally have her on the podcast.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks
So
for that intro.
this is going to be a good one because we have talked about this topic for a little bit or a little bit like way in the beginning, like I think like episode 1 or 2, but we wanted to dive a little bit deeper because there are some things with this ever-changing market that's really important for people to know. So topic today is buying your very first home. And we're seeing this a lot more, especially nowadays with the average age of buying your first home is like, what, 33? 33?
Yeah.
Kind of that age range. So the millennial... the average millennial is buying their house right about now, and that's a big population. And so this is going to be some really good information. So
Part of me wants to talk about our first house. Does that soften things up?
Yeah, go for it. Tell me about it.
You looking at me because I'm the oldest guy?
Yeah, let's start with you because you are the oldest.
And not about being first to go, but I don't know. I think when we were thinking about it, the most important for us was just owning something and getting away from just, what is the, 100% interest if you're paying rent, whatever that phrase is.
Yep.
Anyway, we were so excited just about getting equity. I don't think we put the time in. We didn't interview a lot of real estate agents. I don't think we did it well, but I think that's helped me now, certainly when my kids get ready to buy. But we missed the chance to really know, and I think part of what we'll talk about is understanding what you can afford, talking to a lender, how much down payment, all that fun stuff. We didn't really do the research to figure out what we could have paid, because I think we could have paid more, and where we were living then, the market was going nuts in Northern California. I think it was a painful lesson, which you only know in hindsight.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so the takeaway from my first bite is we didn't do the research. We weren't that prepared. We didn't have great counsel, and I think that's something we're trying to be better at.
Yes, what I remember about my first home is how nervous I was. It was well before I got my real estate license. I actually didn't want to buy. It was just, I was too emotional, I was too scared, too nervous. I didn't know what to expect, so I really tried to stay away from it and push it off as
Who
long
was
as
pushing you to?
My husband. He
Smart man.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he'll say that too. No, he really wanted to buy. He was done renting. He wanted to, have something that he could build equity in, and all of that sounded great, but for some reason I was very fearful of it. And, but, I gave in. We met with a realtor and we kind of went through the process, and going through that process for the first time, it actually changed my life, because I actually decided to get my real estate license because I loved it so much. I was so interested in it. I loved it every step of the way. So after it was great going through it with no expectations, and then coming out of it being like, hey, this is pretty cool. I want to learn more about it and build real estate individually, but then also get a career in it. So it was great.
Yeah.
I have a friend similar to you in this very moment who is nervous to buy, but he is just like a
Do you
single
want to send her my number?
person.
I'll talk to her. Yeah.
And really, it's like, I'm just saying, anything you get, 1 bed, 1 bath. It doesn't need to be your dream home. I think there's kind of like this image in people's minds of, if it's not going to be my dream home, why buy? But I think that's not the case at all, right? Like, start small and then, kind of work your way up to that dream house. And if you're single and you don't have kids and you're not married, or even if it's a couple situation, whatever, it's good to just get a 1 bed, 1 bath. And
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Kristen, why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah,
Tell us about
so
your
that's what I did. So
We used to use Jackson's client as the example. I think you're the new example.
yeah, so I got a 1 bed, 1 bath.
Kristen's building her portfolio right now.
Yeah, so we have
Quickly.
2 properties. We're under contract on our 3rd property now. So just trying to get rental properties, get investment properties.
Have you turned 33 yet?
And no.
So
So
Way ahead of the curve.
You should never ask a
Yeah.
woman her age.
I was asking that because I don't think she looks 33. So
but I'm under the average. But that being said, really, I mean, if you can get in there, I think the other thing with my friend is, oh, I have student loans, oh, I have debt, oh, I have this, I have that, right? And I think there's this stigma around, I want it to be the perfect time. I want to make sure I don't have debt. I want to make sure my student loans are paid off. I want to make sure it's a great place. And at the end of the day, places are just getting more expensive, obviously. And so it's kind of like now is always the best time.
yeah.
And there's that Tom Ferry where it's like 5 years ago was the best time and the second best time is today.
It's the whole
So-
tree, the tree quote, right?
we couldn't be more biased. Think of what we all do.
But I also think
Just get in.
Yeah,
When you work
yeah.
in real estate and you have multiple
Yeah.
properties, you're actually practicing what you're preaching.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
It would
Yeah.
be strange if you were a real estate agent and you only rented your whole life.
right.
I suppose some of those people exist.
They're
Can't
probably,
imagine who they'd be.
never say never.
Yeah, different markets. I mean, I think the big word that scares a lot of people, especially our age, just with the climate that we're in, is mortgage. Like mortgage is I think the whole liability of it or whatever they interpret mortgage as, it's just a scary word because of the commitment behind it and just things like that. So rent versus mortgage, mortgage is a lot scarier. And I guess I don't fully understand that. And once again, this is me being more of a real estate professional than someone who's not in real estate. And that is what it is. But hopefully today, with what we've got, we can relieve some of that stressful thought processing that these people have.
Well, and I
'Cause
think there's like a sense of permanency in the word mortgage versus rent.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like rent is like, a year down the road, right? Versus a mortgage is like 30 years.
Oh yeah, renting is all,
Right.
it's very short term. It's like, okay, I've got a year lease. I can survive a year, right? Mortgage is 30
Right.
It's a
for most
commitment.
people.
Oh yeah, it's a commitment.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, unless I move, I'm in this for 30 years. And that amortization table is sucky to look at.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things that scared me too, is committing to a home where, everyone has gone through it, where they're living in an apartment and renting. Something happened and they decide, I'm done with this, I'm ready to move. And it's easy to just wait it out or break your lease and get out of there.
Yeah.
I just think some of the conversations with some of my first-time buyers, it's like they've moved 6 times in the last 7 years. At some point,
Yeah.
they'll stop doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody's personality is different. So, people like to move around. People like to have something different. And then there's those other people that are like, I just bought my forever home and it's my first home. So we're in a people business and we work with a lot of different personalities.
Oh yeah.
And the cool thing is, there's something for everybody when it comes to like lending programs, when it comes to the type of house we're looking at, and budgets and things like that. We have a lot that we could talk about. But for the sake of time, how do you guys feel about where we're at right now this year so far? I know it's only January. We're halfway through January. Today's the 16th. So what are you guys feeling like for buyers right now?
I've had a lot of activity, surprisingly, coming out of the holidays.
What's their mentality looking like right now? Any
I
thoughts
think
on
part
that?
of it is what we're telling them, right? There's still an opportunity to have a little leverage, a little bit more than you're used to as a buyer. But I don't think any of us think that's going to stick around very long.
No, my message is the window is closing.
Yeah.
The negotiating window is closing. Not that we can't negotiate, but it's going to be a lot harder to get what you want now versus what you like in a couple months from now.
Yeah,
It's
Right.
gonna
and
be
I would
very
say
different.
my clients and the buyers that are coming to me, they're starting to understand the 2-1 buy downs, leveraging those in this market. And then also they're starting to understand that all this talk about interest rates coming down, yes, it's great. But what the last 2 years shows us is that makes it really hard for first-time homebuyers, especially because they're competing against people who have already done this 2 or 3 times, and they have a lot of equity that they're sitting in. So appraisal gaps are more common.
I just had one. I had one this week.
Oh, wow.
This weekend, we went under contract on an $10,000 over asking with a $7,000 appraisal gap on a freaking townhome.
Wow.
With a 3 offer competition.
And that's so hard when I call my first-time home buyers and I say, hey, this is what we're up against. Can you compete? And a lot of them say no. And that's why we keep saying buy now when interest rates are higher, so we don't have those conversations.
And let's kind of talk about an appraisal gap really quick since you just mentioned
Yeah,
it.
no,
So what that means, what that means to a buyer, what that,
we're dropping a lot of
Do you wanna take it?
jargon for that.
Go for it.
Well, so an appraisal gap is, you go under contract for a house in the situation where interest rates are low and people are, outbidding each other by 5, 10, however much, right? An appraiser comes in and looks at the value of the house and tells you the value of the house. If the value of the house is over
The listing price.
the list price or what you're paying as a buyer, the buyer has to pay the difference. So hopefully I explained that in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, there are many situations. Like, for example, it's not that the buyer always has to pay for it. It can be a negotiation. The seller could also decide to bring the price down. But when we're talking about a market where there's multiple buyers for a house, everyone is competing, then most of the time it falls on the buyer who's the most committed. The buyer who's going to step up and say, sellers, you don't have to worry about bringing down the price. I got it. And that's the seller. That's the type of buyer that the seller is ultimately going to go with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think let's get into some of like the things that most first-time home buyers don't know about. So like when we're talking out-of-pocket costs, closing costs, down payment, earnest money, lenders, things like that. So let's start with your down payment and your closing costs. Okay. So what, in your guys' experience, what should a brand new buyer expect for a down payment? Just the down payment. That's not closing costs. We're not talking about a total here, but just their down payment alone. What's a good goal for that?
And what you can ideally do. I mean, the magic number is when you're 20% down, you don't have to pay mortgage insurance. So 20% is a magic number. Jackson jokes about the bank of mom and dad. I think a lot more people talk about that with the amount of money sitting in like the boomers. But when you can do that, I've just done some math on a $375,000 condo. The PMI alone, wasn't it like $325 a month? That's just a payment you're making to nothing until the equity you hold in that property reaches, and it's not actually 20, it's 18.5%. But my point is, getting there out of the gate is that's a cash flow at these rates of $700 a month.
While 20% is ideal, so you don't have that insurance fee, it's not necessarily required. For example,
definitely not required.
Yeah, you can put as low as 3% down. That's actually what we ended up doing, and we went with a lot of first-time homebuyer programs out there, but we did 3% down, and because the market was so strong and we saw an uptick in home prices, we were able to get an appraisal done on our house and drop that mortgage fee less than a year of owning our house.
On your mortgage insurance, your PMI.
Yeah.
We've talked about it in
completely
another.
dropped the PMI.
In a different podcast, we talked about some of the programs. I mean, that's maybe a podcast by itself. It's just all these first-time home buyers. So as a first-time home buyer, when you talk to folks like us, we'll help you get a sense for that so that you can get in with 3% down. And one of these programs waives the private mortgage insurance. So that's a huge, huge win.
There's also, if you can't do 3.5%, you have down payment assistance programs. So you've got DPA, you've got CHAFA, you've got, I think there might be one more, but these are opportunities for you to either be granted a down payment or for someone to at least loan you a down payment as what they call a silent second mortgage. which literally just sits up here until you decide to pay it off or you decide to sell the house, and then your proceeds go to pay that off first. No interest, nothing like that. But it's just a way to get your foot in the door in real estate. Like, these people want you to own a home. These banks want to lend you money so you can own a home. Obviously, they've got their own interests as well. But if you don't have a ton of cash on hand and you don't even have 3.5% to put down, you're not all is not lost. Like, you still have options,
I
which is
completely agree.
awesome.
I
Like,
don't
it's so
think
cool.
You have to wait for that 20% to finally jump in, because take my experience, for example, the market was so strong, I dropped the PMI less than a year in. Mm-hmm. So it was the best decision.
And now
I think it was, we paid like, it was like $58 a month, but I remember hating it.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's keep.
Yeah, and you can shop around for lenders too, just so
Yes,
you guys know.
you should shop around.
You
with
absolutely
lenders.
should. There's different programs, and I think it's important to weigh the options and see which one has the
And I
best
also
first-time
think it's
home buyer
worth
program for you.
noting that if you're a veteran, you have 0% down, and you don't have any PMI.
If you choose to use your VA loan, yeah. Absolutely. And here's another thing that it just drives me nuts sometimes. Like, as new buyers, as first-time home buyers, ask questions. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. That's why we're here. I feel like we try to give you as much information as possible that we feel like is going to be like enough information without you exploding. And then there's obviously things that you're still not going to know. And sometimes, like, you have questions, but you're afraid to ask because you feel like, oh, I should probably know this, blah, blah, blah. We don't care. Like, ask the freaking questions so we can, like, we literally want to hold your hand all the way to closing. We want to make sure you're there, you have a good experience. So never.
We're not going to have every answer either, but like, it's
But we'll find
the
them.
process of getting them.
Yeah, we'll find them. Okay, perfect. Who can tell me what earnest money is all about? Because that's a question I get all the time. What is it? What is earnest money? What is it?
I think
Is it additional?
In
Is
general
it?
terms, it's, how serious are you? Are you serious enough to
It's a
put money
deposit.
into an escrow?
It's essentially a deposit, and it's not an additional fee. So that actually comes back. So it goes into an account or an escrow account, or whoever decides to hold it. Whoever we all decide to hold it.
Usually the title company.
Usually the title company or some kind of escrow company, and that sits there until you close the house. And once you close, that comes out of escrow and comes back towards your closing costs and things like that. So it's not an additional fee. It's just all
And
kind
it's
of
held
bundled in
on
there.
to the title or by the title company as collateral. So if the buyer defaults, and I'm going to give an example, is let's say we get through inspection negotiations and the seller and the buyer agree, okay, yeah, the seller will fix these items. They sign on the dotted line, and then the buyer wakes up the next day and says, you know what, I don't feel good about it. I want to revisit things or walk away. I'm not happy. Yeah,
You're tied up a
you're
little
tied
bit.
up. Yeah, we're past the point of return. You're not going to get that earnest money back. So that's when it's given to the sellers because you defaulted on your agreement and your contract with the
Yep.
seller.
So yeah, it's almost like a renter's security deposit.
Exactly.
You mess up, or you decide to back out or whatever, they're going to keep that. So they're gonna try.
And at one point, do they keep it versus not? I mean, when is there a point of no return?
Yeah, the point of no return is, there's a couple spots in the contract that you can walk away with your earnest money. But the thing that people need to realize is that sellers have the right to contest that earnest money whenever they want.
Yeah, you've learned a tougher lesson. than the
I'm
rest of us.
in the process of that now. Yes, Friday is a big day for me.
Whether they
So
win, but we talk with our clients. Generally there's those gates where you get to certain deadlines after which you're limited in what you can do to get out of a contract and still get your
Most of the
earnest money.
time you get it back before certain contract dates, inspection, appraisal, loan, termination deadlines, stuff like that.
So I think about it as it's leverage for all parties kept by a third party neutral, but it's really a gesture, it's some sort of commitment you're making to prove you're serious about buying this
And
house.
if you follow the contract and the steps and you do what your realtor says, you'll be credited. Like you said, you'll get that amount credited back to you at closing.
Yeah, comes back to you at the end,
Yeah.
which is super
So-
nice.
So Spence, I actually want to hear about your story where the sellers contested.
Say that.
Yeah. I mean, I know you love that.
Yeah, I got to be careful because we're still
We're gonna do one.
still in
We're
it.
gonna do a stories
Yeah.
podcast. You
Well,
should say that.
I'll save that one for the next one.
Okay, we'll
So-
wait till it's done.
It'll
But
come
I
out.
actually have a good one. No one contested. I've never been through that experience, but if I ever did, I'm calling you, so make sure you answer.
Yeah.
But I had an experience where my buyers were so close to the finishing line. We had our final walkthrough. We get to the final walkthrough, and the sprinkler system had, for that whole month, had a leak, and it basically exploded. And there was so much groundwater
I think I met
that
these
it
guys.
raised the foundation up by several inches. I mean, you couldn't even
Jeez.
open.
Where was this?
This was in Highlands Ranch. You couldn't even open certain doors because the foundation had moved so much.
Wow.
And this was also when we were getting a ton of rain. So the rain on top of the sprinkler system just going all the time.
A lot
It was
of moisture.
chaos.
Yep.
And so when we went for the final walkthrough, it was just a complete different house. And so we went back to the seller and say, hey, we have a problem. And because the house wasn't in the condition
Yeah.
that we last saw it.
No, yeah, that totally
even
falls
though,
under.
we were able to get the earnest money
Yep.
back because it was not the buyer's fault. So that was my first time going through that unusual situation. But yeah, that was.
Yeah, earnest money is I don't know, not fragile, but it's just kind of one of those. Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna vote. I've never.
we like to keep track of that earnest money, and we have amazing systems set up. We have an amazing transaction coordinator that is there to, guide you along and make sure we understand where the deadlines are, so that we, can keep it if we need to back out. So we have a really good team that keeps us on track with all of that. We'll have a few minutes. So closing costs. What can we expect for closing costs? I've got a whole chart rundown. If any of you need
I
it,
pulled up
we
a
can
couple
send it to you.
sites, but
But what do you usually tell your buyers to expect for closing costs?
I have them go to the lenders.
Yeah, go to
Yeah,
lenders.
yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, they typically range anywhere from like 1.5% to 2% of typically what the 2% is kind of on the extreme side, but of what the price of the home is.
I've
Depends
seen
on
1
what
to
you-
3%.
yeah,
they can-
when you bundle it, the prepay for your insurance.
Yeah.
And it does depend on the market. Like it depends on, what the rates look like, what you're paying on the rates, if we have concessions, things like that. So typically like on the average home price right now, which is probably on high sixes right now, 680 maybe, you're probably looking at anywhere from 8 to 10 grand, maybe a little bit more in closing costs.
I always tell my buyers if they want more exact figures instead of just general estimates, because 1% is very different than 3%, and
Very,
I've seen it all across the board. I just have them go straight to their lender.
It can also,
They're the money man.
it can also depend on like the time of year that you're buying,
Yep.
prorations, all that kind of stuff. So we'll dive into that maybe a little bit deeper on another podcast, because that is, I mean, we could talk a lot about that. Overall, what else should a first time home buyer know before we close up? What's your guys' advice for a first time home buyer right now in this market?
I would say, it's natural to feel scared and intimidated. No one can do anything about that feeling. It's a big step in your life, so that's natural. But I would say make sure you're interviewing the right agents who are going to coach you, make you feel comfortable every step of the way. Something I'm doing for my buyers is I'm creating videos that I can send them every step of the way, and it's little videos. It's not just one big video of here's everything you need to know, because they're not going to digest that. But I have a video of each step that I'm sending them as a reminder of like, okay, here's what's next now that we're past this stage. And then I get a lot of questions from those, and that really helps open up that door of communication.
Yeah.
So that's something I do. I would say find an agent who's willing to do the extra work to do those types of things.
Yeah.
I think
Good advice.
we're all agents and we want you to talk to us, but you're going to talk to your friends and your family as well. I don't know, I think I feel like I write this in my bios in places, like, what's more exciting than buying a house? But like, exciting is not always positive. It's,
Can be nerve-wracking.
terrifying,
Yeah.
nerve-wracking. But I try to make it, keep people on very positive, because it's a big deal. It's a great investment. You're going to be so happy for it. But you got to trust the people you're working with, and start with mom and dad, start with your friends and family. And, you got to rely on your agent
Yep.
to keep you positive, but as well as guide your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Kristin, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I love the video idea. I love the process. I think when I, went through it, and I'm sure when a lot of people go through it, if you're a first-time home buyer, you have no idea what to expect, and maybe you don't know what the word appraisal means. You don't know what lender means. You don't know. So the whole thing is new. This is also typically a 30-day process, which, can be a long or short period of time, I guess, depending. But to me, 30 days just seemed like super fast when I didn't know what all these words meant.
Every day means something, right?
So I think I like the videos, and, it probably just consistent communication of constantly getting a phone call saying, this is the next step, this is what to expect, this is what this means. Because I think sometimes you don't know what to ask, was my issue.
That's exactly.
And when you
how I
don't
felt.
know what to ask, you know what I mean? You don't know what.
Well, I think
Yeah,
that's a
so it's
talent
hard.
that we develop over time, that even when you're not asking, how do we provide that
Right.
without scaring you, making you more anxious, without overwhelming you,
Right.
to get you more bought in?
And
Really,
I think
it's a fun process.
Yeah, and I would say I think it's important to work with an agent that can break it down to make it easier to understand. And what I mean by that is when you start throwing out appraisal, inspection deadlines, loan termination deadlines, and those big real estate terms, or get too into the weeds, it kind of just doesn't really resonate with a first-time home buyer like it does someone going through the process 5 or 6 times.
Or maybe
Yeah.
it scares them.
Yeah, or
away
it
and we're
scares
trying
them,
not
or
to-
just puts a wall up, and they're like, I didn't even understand, the last 5 minutes of whatever you just said. So I think being able to, break it down and say, here's what you need to do, here's what you don't have to worry about because I'm doing it for you, and we can go a little bit deeper into what it all means at a later date once we're past certain stages.
Yeah, that's all really good advice. I think the kind of what I'll leave it on is, I can't remember where I saw it, but I was starting to do like kind of this new project I was starting on, a new endeavor a little bit ago, and I think I was on, I can't remember, but I saw this quote, and it was talking about what do you do if you're scared to do something, like something that you're really scared to do. And I think right now first-time home buyers they're scared. We have higher rates than what they've seen in the past couple of years, which they actually aren't that high, but high home values than they used to be. So the economy is a little bit inflated. It's starting to come down. We're starting to see that curve a little bit. And now we're going into a season of like, wow, we're coming into some competition now. We're starting to heat up. So everyone is scared. And if you're scared to buy a house, my best advice for you is just do it scared. Just buy the house scared. Get over it. Suck it up. It's going to suck a little bit, and because you don't know what you're getting into. It's your first time doing it. And but when you have professionals like us who know the business, we've done this, we specialize. I personally specialize in first-time home buyers. That's like that's like my bread and butter is first-time home buyers. And you just have to do it scared. That's the only way to do it.
And I think it's important to know that exactly. You have to do it scared, but the lender's role is to check your W-2s, really do a deep dive into your finances to make sure you can afford it. So they're going to make sure that you're not getting in over your head with your payments, with, if you're juggling a car payment on top of your home, all that good stuff. So them plus the underwriter is going to make sure that everything is A-okay when it comes to finances. And then your agent's going to be there to make sure you're buying the right home and the right product.
You have a whole team behind you. So
we say that like it's not because we don't know. We know a lot of things. We know a whole lot about financing. That said, we want our buyers to have that same trust in that lender. Plus, we want to know exactly what that is. We want to eliminate certain unknown variables about can't afford or can afford so much more. You know, part of what I said in my opening story, like, I didn't do it very well. We didn't have great advice. So I'm trying to empower people, get great advice, because I don't want you to be terrified.
Yeah.
You know, I said to my kids, like, know the end of your comfort zone. And then just go like one more step, not like 10 steps, but one step. You'll be a little uncomfortable, but you shouldn't be terrified. And you'll be a hell of a lot less terrified if you have really trustworthy people that can help you.
I think it's a lot easier to do this process scared than most other things, just because everybody knows the end goal. You're going to own a house, you're going to build equity, and the outcome is it's there. Like, it's a good outcome, and I think people realize that. So we'll wrap up there.
As is always the case, there's like 10 other things we could have talked about.
We
Right.
could have, but yeah, we had some good personal experiences, and we'll probably do more on this way down the road, or maybe even sooner. But we appreciate you guys being with us, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.